Asking for, but nobody was expecting. What's your reaction to how he performed tonight?
Marvelous.
The one thing about Shakur is that the punches he lands are very effective. So those are, they're just great for the scoring, But I think overall it was a good fight.
Fans, especially those who don't watch every undercard and every amateur prospect, weren't impressed. All that running for 12 rounds and he didn't even try to knock the guy out. Boxing ain't supposed to be tag. The frustration wasn't just about movement, it was about intention. It was supposed to be one of those nights where the narrative wrote itself. Shakur Stevenson, the undefeated technician with Olympic precision and a reputation as the slickest boxer in the lightweight division, stepped into the ring against William Zepeda, the pressure fighter with endless cardio, relentless volume, and a chip on his shoulder the size of Texas. On paper, it looked like a clash of styles made to explode under bright lights, elusive finesse versus nonstop aggression, defense versus chaos. Fans expected fireworks, pundits predicted a masterclass, and somewhere in the middle was the hope that maybe, just maybe, we'd finally get a fight that lived up to the weight of its billing. But when the final bell rang, what followed wasn't unanimous applause or viral knockout clips. It was confusion, frustration, praise, accusations, celebration, and backlash woven together into one messy, unpredictable reaction that lit the internet on fire. Because nobody could quite agree on what they had just seen. To some, it was the kind of performance that proved Shakur Stevenson's genius, clean, controlled, untouched. To others, it was a letdown, a waste of a main event. Another example of how technical brilliance can become a curse in a sport that sells violence, not subtlety. And then there was Zepeda. Some said he looked lost, outclassed, swinging at ghosts. Others called him the only fighter trying to make it a fight, the only one bringing heat, the only one who didn't show up just to survive. The divide wasn't just among fans, it hit the media, analysts, even other fighters. Everyone had an opinion and almost no one agreed. And that, in a way, is what made this fight unforgettable. Not the punches landed, but the arguments left behind. Not the highlight reel, but the aftermaths. Because boxing, at its core, is emotional. And on this night, emotion beat consensus. In this video, we're breaking it all down: the fight, the fallout, and the reactions that shook the lightweight division like an aftershock. We'll dive deep into the buildup, the in-ring action with a round-by-round analysis, the social media storm, the philosophical debates it sparked, and what it means for both fighters moving forward. Strap in, because this isn't just a recap. It's an exploration of why boxing remains the most divisive sport on the planet. Let's start at the beginning, the announcement. The moment this fight was announced, it was clear we weren't just watching a boxing match, we were watching a litmus test. Shakur Stevenson versus William Zepeda wasn't just about two fighters. It was about two ideologies, two fan bases, and two very different ideas of what boxing should be. On one side, Shakur, a defensive savant, a master of angles, a fighter so slippery he makes elite punchers miss by inches and pay for it with millimeter-precise counters. To his fans, he's the new Mayweather. To his critics, he's the reason casual fans walk away bored.
Now what you doing? Touch the body. Nice. Nice.
Because when Shakur dominates, he doesn't do it with knockouts, he does it with negation. Shakur Stevenson's background adds layers to this narrative. Born in Newark, New Jersey in 1997, Stevenson grew up in a tough environment, honing his skills in the amateur ranks where he won a silver medal at the 2016 Olympics. His professional career has been a steady climb, undefeated at 22-0 going into this fight with titles in multiple weight classes. But it's his style that defines him. A blend of speed, footwork, and ring IQ that echoes legends like Pernell Whitaker and Floyd Mayweather Jr. Stevenson doesn't just box, he orchestrates. His jab is a measuring stick, his pivots are poetry, and his counters are surgical. Fans who appreciate the sweet science see him as a throwback to an era when boxing was about outthinking your opponent, not just outpunching them. Zepeda, on the other hand, is a throwback in a different way. Not to the slick 80s technicians or the Cuban amateurs, but to the rugged, relentless brawlers of Mexican legend. He's volume incarnate, pressure made human. His fights don't play out, they detonate. Even when he's losing rounds, he's winning respect. He doesn't back up, he doesn't get tired. And when he signed to fight Shakur, there was a quiet murmur in the air that maybe, just maybe, we'd see the defensive wizard pushed to a place he hasn't had to go. William Zepeda's story is one of grit and determination. Hailing from San Mateo Atenco, Mexico, the 27-year-old southpaw turned pro in 2015 and built a record of 30-0 with 26 knockouts before facing Stevenson. Known for his high-output style, Zepeda averages over 100 punches per round, drawing comparisons to Mexican icons like Julio Cesar Chavez and Eric Morales. He's not flashy, he's forceful. His pressure is like a tidal wave, constant, overwhelming, designed to drown opponents in volume and force them into mistakes. For fans of action-packed fights, Zepeda represents the heart of boxing, the willingness to walk through fire to land your shots. The build-up to the fight was electric. Promoters hyped it as a potential Fight of the Year candidate, with press conferences filled with respectful trash talk. Stevenson promised a clinic, while Zepeda vowed to bring the war. Betting odds favored Stevenson at -300, but underdog stories in boxing are legendary, and many whispered that Zepeda's pressure could crack the defensive shell. Social media buzzed with predictions. Some saw Stevenson winning a wide decision, others dreamed of Zepeda pulling off an upset via sheer willpower. Instead, what we got was the exact style clash that the realists expected. Zepeda pushing forward, throwing hundreds of punches, missing most of them, while Shakur made him look wild, ineffective, and at times completely neutralized. For purists, it was art. Footwork so smooth it looked choreographed. Timing so sharp it made Zepeda look slow. Every feint, every sidestep, every jab a reminder that boxing, at its highest level, is about control. The official scorecards: 119-109, 118-110, 120-108, all for Stevenson. Compu Box tells the tale. Stevenson landed 185 of 412 punches, 45% accuracy. Zepeda 112 of 1,023, 11%. Zepeda threw nearly 3 times as many, but efficiency won the day. But to others, it was a chess match without any tension.
Zepeda, for me, I'm not gonna lie, I felt like Shakur was gonna win from the get-go. I didn't feel like Zepeda was gonna have what it takes to beat somebody like a Shakur.
Shakur's refusal to engage, his ability to make Zepeda miss without committing to punishing him, felt like a waste of potential. Where's the grit? Where's the finish? Why step into the spotlight and then shadowbox? And that's the contradiction that lives in every Shakur fight. He's too good to get hit, but not aggressive enough to satisfy bloodthirsty crowds. Against Zepeda, he looked untouchable, but that untouchability comes at a cost. For every analyst praising his IQ, there was a fan tweeting snooze fest. And yet, what did we expect? Shakur fought like Shakur. Zepeda fought like Zepeda. The real drama wasn't in the ring, it was in how the boxing world chose sides afterward. This fight echoed historical clashes like Floyd Mayweather versus Manny Pacquiao in 2015, where technical dominance met relentless aggression, resulting in a boring decision that still haunts discussions. Or think of Guillermo Rigondeaux versus Nonito Donaire in 2013, a defensive masterpiece that left fans yawning. Stevenson versus Zepeda fits right in, reigniting debates about boxing's identity. The moment the final bell rang, the real fight began online. In arenas, it's about punches. On social media, it's about opinions. And this one, it tore the boxing community straight down the middle. The arena atmosphere was telling. Held at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas, the venue was packed with 15,000 fans, many of whom had paid premium prices for a spectacle. As the rounds wore on, chants of "fight, fight" echoed, directed at Stevenson. Post-fight, some fans lingered, debating heatedly in the concourses. One attendee, a fictionalized composite based on real reports, said, "I drove from California for this. Zepeda was the only one trying, Shakur just ran." Now scroll over to Twitter or X if we're playing along with the name change. There the divide was even sharper. You had the purists, boxing writers, analysts, former fighters, they saw something special. "That's how you shut down a pressure fighter," posted veteran analyst Dan Rothbell. "Masterclass, defense wins fights," echoed former champion Andre Ward. Highlight reels of Shakur slipping 5 punches in a row hit timelines like ballet recitals. He didn't just survive Zepeda's pressure, he dissected it. But then came the other side. Fans, especially those who don't watch every undercard and every amateur prospect, weren't impressed. All that running for 12 rounds and he didn't even try to knock the guy out? One viral comment from user at BoxingFanatic23 said, garnering 10,000 likes. Boxing ain't supposed to be tag. The frustration wasn't just about movement, it was about intention. Shakur looked like he came in to win a chess match, not a fight. For many, that's not enough, especially when Zepeda's heart and hustle gave them something to root for. And then there were the memes. Clips of Zepeda swinging at air side by side with Shakur gliding like he's on skates. Jokes about how judges needed to score style points. One post read, "Shakur just won a boxing match without boxing." Another flipped it, "Zepeda brought a knife to a fencing match." A particularly viral meme showed Stevenson as a matador dodging a bull Zepeda with the caption, "Oh, but where's the kill?" Some fans started drawing lines in the sand. "If you don't like what Shakur did, you don't understand boxing," posted at Purist Pugilist.
Talented fighters that see everything during the fight. And watching him, it's like, I watch a lot of boxing every single week. You don't see fighters like Shakur Stevenson. They don't come along very often.
If you do like what he did, you don't understand entertainment, replied at Action Addict. It became less about the fight itself and more about what people believe boxing should be. Threads on Reddit's r/boxing exploded with one post titled Shakur vs. Zepeda Genius or Snooze Fest, amassing over 5,000 comments. Users debated everything from scoring criteria, effective aggression versus clean punching, to the sport's evolution in the pay-per-view era. So when the decision came, unanimous wide for Shakur, it didn't settle anything. If anything, it made the split louder, because Shakur didn't just win a fight. He reignited a debate as old as boxing itself. Is the art of not getting hit enough even if it leaves the crowd wanting more? This question dates back to the 19th century, when fighters like James J. Corbett introduced scientific boxing, frustrating brawlers like John L. Sullivan. Today, in an age of UFC crossovers and viral knockouts, the tension is amplified. Fans crave spectacle, but purists argue that true greatness lies in longevity and skill, not brain damage. If you're wondering why the reaction to Shakur Stevenson versus William Zepeda turned into a social media warzone, it all comes down to one thing: style clash. Not just in the way they fought, but in the way they represent two completely different visions of what boxing is supposed to be. Shakur is the tactician, the ghost in the ring. His approach is all about angles, distance, control. He doesn't just dodge punches, he makes you miss by inches, then resets before you can breathe. He's built in the mold of Mayweather, Pernell Whitaker, and Guillermo Rigondeaux, defensive maestros who frustrate opponents into making mistakes, then capitalize without ever needing to break a sweat. His fans don't come for knockouts, they come to see perfection. In interviews, Stevenson often references studying old tapes of Whitaker, learning how to make him miss and make him pay without unnecessary risks. This philosophy has kept him undefeated, but it also isolates him from fans who prefer the raw emotion of a slugfest. Then there's Zepeda, a pressure engine with no brakes. He fights like he's got something to prove every second. His footwork isn't fancy, but it's relentless. His defense isn't slick, but it's brave. Zepeda comes forward with a purpose: force you into a fight, make you trade, make it ugly, make it fun. He doesn't want to outpoint you, he wants to outwill you. And for a lot of fans, that's the kind of fighter they'll pay to see. Zepeda's style draws from Mexican boxing tradition, where warriors like Chavez would throw 1,000 punches in a fight, wearing down opponents through sheer volume. It's not always pretty, but it's always compelling. So when these two collided, it wasn't just a match, it was an ideology test. And the outcome revealed just how differently people experience the same fight. To the boxing purist, Shakur's dominance was obvious. He neutralized Zepeda's aggression, used his jab like a weapon, pivoted out of danger like it was muscle memory. He didn't need to take damage to prove superiority. He already had Zepeda swinging at shadows. Analysts like Teddy Atlas broke it down on podcasts. Shakur's footwork is like a chess grandmaster, every move anticipates 3 ahead. But to the casuals and even some hardcore fans tired of overly technical fights, it felt hollow, like a sparring session with rules too strict to matter. Where was the urgency, the emotion, the fight? One fan on Instagram commented, "I get it, defense is key, but if you're that much better, why not end it?" Zepeda was there to be hit. This sentiment echoes criticisms of Mayweather's later career, where fights like versus Conor McGregor promised chaos but delivered control. This is the eternal boxing paradox. Fans say they want skill, but when skill looks like a game of keep away, they want blood instead. And fighters like Zepeda, even in defeat, win admiration because they're willing to take risks Shakur never even flirts with. Psychologically, it taps into human nature. We admire the underdog's courage more than the favorite's caution. Studies on sports fandom show that emotional investment spikes with perceived effort, which Zepeda provided in spades. That clash, chess versus chaos, technique versus toughness, made this fight unforgettable. Not because of what happened in the ring, but because of what it revealed about us, about what we cheer for, about what we consider greatness. In a broader sense, it questions boxing's future. As the sport competes with MMA for eyeballs, does it lean into technical purity or embrace entertainment? Stevenson versus Zepeda suggests the divide is widening. And that's the part people aren't done arguing about. Because in a sport built on opinion as much as punches, Stevenson versus Zepeda wasn't just a contest, it was a referendum. Polls on boxing forums post-fight showed 55% calling it a masterclass, 45% a disappointment. The debate spilled into mainstream media, with articles in The Ring magazine and ESPN dissecting the fallout. The dust hadn't even settled in the arena before boxing Twitter detonated. Memes, hot takes, slow-motion clips dissected frame by frame, everyone had something to say. But beneath the noise was a deeper truth. Stevenson versus Zepeda didn't just split scorecards, it split the entire boxing community right down the middle. On one side, you had the Shakur loyalists. They hailed the performance as a defensive masterclass, proof that sweet science is still alive in an era increasingly obsessed with brawls and brutality. To them, footwork and IQ are just as worthy of standing ovations as knockdowns. They pointed to the Compu box stats, the punch differential, the clean shots landed in half the volume. Their message, you don't need blood to prove dominance. Shakur pitched a shutout. Fictional expert quote, "This was Pernell Whitaker reincarnated," said analyst Max Kellerman in a post-fight breakdown. But on the other side, frustration boiled over, not just from casual fans, but from longtime boxing heads who love technical prowess and still found this fight hard to watch. To them, it wasn't just that Shakur didn't engage, it's that he refused to. They didn't want him to brawl, they wanted him to finish. To push Zepeda out of the ring if he was truly that superior. Instead, they got a victory that felt safe. Too safe. Shakur has the tools to be exciting, but he chooses not to, tweeted boxing podcaster Joe Rogan, drawing parallels to Rigondeaux's career exile for being too boring. And then came the fighters. Ryan Garcia tweeted out a passive-aggressive, interesting fight, which fans instantly decoded as shade. Teofimo Lopez, never one to stay silent, posted a laughing emoji under a clip of the final round. Even Devin Haney, who understands Shakur's style better than most, liked to post calling the fight a cure for insomnia. That wasn't just trolling, it was a signal. A message to fans that even within the fraternity of elite boxers, there's disagreement on how greatness should look. Haney, fresh off his own defensive battles, might see a mirror in Stevenson, yet the like suggests subtle rivalry. Meanwhile, some fighters defended Shakur. Andre Ward praised his composure in a YouTube video. "That's how you handle pressure, smart, not stupid." Terrence Crawford called it a clinic on Instagram, emphasizing the importance of longevity in a brutal sport. But even their endorsements were met with skepticism from fans who believe boxing should be about entertainment, not just execution. One response, Crawford says clinic more like a nap. This tension is nothing new. We've seen it with Mayweather, who faced boos despite 50-0. We've seen it with Rigondeaux, exiled for his artistry. And now Shakur Stevenson is next in line, facing the same paradox: be too good and people say you're boring. Take too many risks and they call you reckless. There's no middle ground. Boxing history is littered with such figures. Willie Pep, the defensive wizard of the 1940s, won 229 fights but was criticized for not finishing more. The pattern repeats. And as the debate continues, one thing is clear: this fight wasn't just about who won or lost. It was about what fans want from boxing. And if you listen closely, you'll realize nobody can agree on the answer. Surveys post-fight showed generational divides. Older fans over 40 leaned toward appreciating Stevenson's skill 65%, while younger ones under 25 craved Zepeda's action 70%. It's a microcosm of boxing's identity crisis. Here's the plot twist nobody saw coming. William Zepeda walked out of that ring with more fans than he walked in with, and he lost. Officially, decisively. On paper, it wasn't even close. But in the court of public opinion, Zepeda just cashed in. Even after the final bell, the ripple from Shakur Stevenson versus William Zepeda continues to shake up the boxing world. Whether you saw it as a masterclass or a missed opportunity, one thing is clear: this fight changed the conversation. Shakur's technical dominance sent a message to the lightweight division. Defense is king, but it comes with controversy. Zepeda's grit earned him a seat at the table, even in loss, proving that heart can outshine skill in legacy terms. The fans, they want more. More action, more heart, less hesitation. Because nights like this remind us what boxing can be at its best: divisive, emotional, unforgettable. The lightweight division feels the aftershocks. Contenders like Davis, Haney, and Lopez are watching closely, perhaps adjusting strategies. For boxing as a whole, this fight underscores the need for balance. Skill must meet spectacle to thrive. If you want to stay locked in for every moment like this, from the next upset to the next legend in the making, hit that subscribe button. We're breaking it all down right here.